Good evening, and after about a 2-hour break, we are back here at thejeopardyfan.com for another Jeopardy Live panel. This is quarterfinal number 3 of the Tournament of Panelists. Once again, I am Andy Saunders, and we have the second half of our bipartisan multinational judging panel. Once again, Jeannie Kenkel, the founder of thejeopardyfan.com. It is one thing. It's one thing that was commented on in the green room before we got started. It is very difficult to impress both judges at the same time, even tougher than Jeopardy. So this might be interesting. Our panel for this evening, we have Sarah McNitt, wants 4,000 votes. We also have the H-Bomb, Harvey Silikovitz.
Hi, everyone.
We also have somebody whose tournament is airing in reruns right now, Colin O'Grady.
How is everybody?
A former Tournament of Champions winner, Colby Burnett.
Hey,
and finally, a Sports Jeopardy alum, Chris Pay.
Hello.
So, the way this works, as per the first two panels, there are 6 questions, 10 points per question, based on the score given by our bipartisan multinational judging panel. From that, you'll get a debate score. Then there's also the fan vote portion. After this panel, what will happen, you will see links at thejeopardyfan.com and on Twitter to vote for your favorite panelists. Go there. You can vote on Twitter. You can vote on Google. A retweet counts as a vote. A favorite counts as a vote. And a vote on the Google poll counts as a vote. The Twitter vote counts for 10 points. The Google vote counts for 10 points. The winner at the end of the debate and the fan voting progresses to the semifinals. There are also wild cards at play for non-winners, as always on Jeopardy. So, without any further ado, I am going to start with the opening question of tonight's panel. I will ask the question and then give you guys a 30 seconds or so to think about it. That way you have the opportunity to think, and then I'll explain exactly how the answering is going to go. So first up, we have the current events question. I hope you saw that the new Jeopardy website came out today, and we have some a question about that. Jeopardy unveiled its new website today. What do you like the most about the new site? So the way this is going to work, the question 1, the first person to answer will be Sarah, then we'll go Harvey, Colin, Colby, and then Chris. Harvey will then open question 2. Colin will open question 3. Colby open question 4. Chris will open question number 5. And then back to Sarah to open the final question. So, Sarah, what do you like the most about the new Jeopardy website?
I like that it's liberally peppered with pictures of me. Even if I don't get a shout out on the, they used to have the, whatever the thing was for everybody who had made more than 50,000. And they didn't update it for my season, and now they've eliminated it in favor of the Champions Archive, which I'm not quite sure what the criteria is for that, but I did not make it. But there's still pictures of me here and there, so that's my answer.
Well,
H-Bomb, what do you like about it?
I haven't had a chance to check out the whole site yet. It just went up today. It's brand new. It is chock full of new features, but of the portions of the site that I've seen so far, what I really like is the part that cycles through all of the final Jeopardies of the past 30 years. And I think that will be a good study tool for those of us who are still in the pool trying to get onto Jeopardy. Although I'm not sure if that's optimized for mobile, but even if I can only use it on my home computer, I think that's an interesting and helpful new feature.
Colin, what do you like about the new Jeopardy website?
I like the font. I don't know if that's like a trivial thing, but I'm setting up. We just went back to work, and so I was playing with Google Classroom all day today, and it's so noticeable, that new font. But Jeopardy's it looks crisper, it looks sleeker, and it looks cool. And that was one of the things that I realized. I had so many people say, "Oh, Jeopardy! My grandparents watched that," and when after I was on, and Jeopardy was suddenly for only nerds and old people, and I'm like, well, come on, it's actually it can be it's fun, and it should be crisp and contemporary and cool, and I think that like moving the website in that direction was a good thing.
I wonder if they got worried because Family Feud overtook it and made a fortune in the ratings.
Oh.
Colby, what do you like about it?
Oh, I like that it seems to be the first time the site has been updated since about 2011. So it's a lot more interactive. It's much more of an experience, even for the casual watcher of the show. There's a list of games that one can play to test your own knowledge. They added an archive of 6 questions that you clearly don't get to see unless Alex makes a grave error. And I think that it's a much better experience for everyone.
And Chris?
I also like the interactivity, but I also like that you get to see questions, because as Jeopardy players, we love to answer questions. So Final Jeopardy questions, the interactivity, choosing the categories, and you can come back every day and get a brand new set of questions if you'd like. But that's what I like, because that draws me to the website.
Colby, I don't know if you picked up on this, but you're also listed twice in the Champions Archive, so that's pretty cool.
I did win 2 tournaments, so that helps.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're like Grover Cleveland.
No, I would have had to lose in between. I lost after.
2 presidencies, but only counts as 1 person.
Okay. In that matter, I'll take that.
Okay, so now at this point, what's going to happen? The judges are going to compile their answers or sorry, not the answers, but the scores from the first question. While those get added up, I will give you guys the second question to think about. A little bit more off the wall. Things tend to happen, or more things along this type have happened this past season. But my question for the panel, the first one to answer will be Harvey, or the H-bomb, I should say. My apologies. Would you want to go viral from your appearance on Jeopardy? Why or why not? So think about that while we tabulate the scores. Okay, so we have now that you're done thinking, we have the scores from our first set from the first question. We have, and I'm going to give these out in alphabetical order. Colby picks up 8 points. Sarah picks up 8. Colin 7. Chris 6. And Harvey 7. So a good start for everyone so far. Much better than the 4 that Ben Ingram got. His first question, on our 7 o'clock panel. But as promised,
way too harsh on Ben. Way too harsh on Ben.
Ben is going to try to just make as many people happy to have him speak as possible. So maybe he got to dart it around the question, but still, nicest man I've ever seen play Jeopardy. Or just general be a person. So.
Well, see, the thing is, I know the judges' breakdown from the 7 o'clock panel, so I'm not going to say anything. H-bomb, you get to go first on virality.
Okay, well, I think my response is necessarily personal. I would love to go viral from being on Jeopardy because I have a blog, as I think you know, that has nothing to do with Jeopardy. It's a travel blog, and I have a Twitter page and an Instagram account, and it would be great to draw a lot of traffic to those platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And I do realize that if you go viral, you're inherently also going to draw a lot of haters. But I can handle the haters, and I would say bring them on. And I would further add that, in my opinion, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Colin.
I kind of did. I was a passenger to a viral. I had the clue when Alex read the lyrics to "Girls, Girls, Girls," which was glorious, and made it onto Fallon and went all over the place. And it was fun in that sense because it wasn't me anyone was looking at, and so I got to, oh look, I was right there. I was an observer. I don't know that I would want to be the subject, the actual subject itself, and I think some of that, just as a teacher, like I need to not be that moment. I need kids who are so impressionable. I need them to be able to look at me in the classroom every day and sort of see the profession and see me as a representative of a profession in that moment and not see anything else, I suppose. And so I think just my own unique circumstances, for that reason, I'd prefer to be. The passenger part of it was fun, but I wouldn't want to be the subject of a, say not to, but the Dan Tran moment was, I wouldn't want that.
Yeah, there was definitely a reason why I picked this question for the 10 o'clock panel, not the 7.
Dan handled it well, but yeah, I wouldn't want that.
Yeah. Colby.
Well, as far as going viral, it's very much a matter of been there, done that, and I will say that in response to what Colin has said about being a teacher as well, as long as you come across as a good and upright individual, and yes, you're going to get people who may dislike how you come across, but they don't know you, and to be in a position where I definitely feel that how I'm represented, or how I represented myself, and gone viral because I have weird facial tics, and that's fine. That's not entirely me. And being myself and responding to that support and that that sort of hate against me, I think that really improved my standing. Not that it was in any danger, but to improve my standing with students and say, hey, be yourself and be awesome, and it doesn't matter what other people think of you. So I'm great with going viral because, hey, I get to be on TV and I get to be myself and I get to be awesome, and that works out.
Chris.
I think if it's just publicity, I'm fine with that. But going viral, it just depends on what it is. If it's a great moment and it just represents yourself, great. I have no problem with that. But if it's something embarrassing, knowing how introverted and how I take things and process that would probably mortify me, just to be completely honest. But if it's something positive, I have no problem. And if it's just me being me, I have no problem with that as well.
Sarah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've seen a video entitled something like "Women Don't Know Anything About Sports," but when I was on Jeopardy, there was a question came up where all 3 players were women, and all 3 of us got this baseball question very, very, very wrong. And so that, I mean, it didn't go viral. It wasn't on the Soup or anything like that, but it was getting passed around YouTube and like sports blogs and stuff like that. And the one thing that I did appreciate was that there was somebody in one of the comments that said, well, later on, this idiot who doesn't know Mark McGwire from Roger Clemens knew a hockey question that I didn't know, so, maybe women do know something about sports. But that's the thing about these little viral clips is they're taken out of context. People don't know us. They don't know, all the other things that we know. They just see this little bit. So I think most of the Jeopardy stuff that's gone viral, more of it I think has been negative than positive. You see that meme going around where somebody took somebody's screenshot and then changed the final Jeopardy answer so it's kind of a video game reference or something that's very wrong. And there's a lot more of that going around than the, positive, funny stuff. So, I'd rather go viral for a good thing, but all in all, I'd rather not go viral at all if I can't control it. So.
Do we have anyone else who wants to add something to virality here? Okay, so once again, the judging panel will come up with some scores here, and okay, I have that. The third question, as has always been so far, is the caption contest, or the photo caption contest, I should say. Well, the photo caption question. So I'm going to ask you guys to just click on the lovely picture of me, because I'm going to screen share a photograph here so that you guys can come up with a caption Jeopardy related for this photograph. Once these scores come back, I will start again with the Meanwhile, for those of you who are skipping the Toronto Blue Jays Cleveland Indians game to watch this panel, I don't know what it is, but somehow the Blue Jays have horseshoes or something, because their light-hitting second baseman Ryan Goins just walked off the Indians with a home run. So
you don't need horseshoes. You're playing the Indians. Like, that's how that works. Like, I know what it's like to have my playoff, have follow the White Sox, man. I understand what it's like to have a team go into September, and thank God they only have to play the Indians.
So, yes, the scores on the second question, once again in alphabetical order as I keep this photograph here up. Colby picks up 8 points for 16 in total. Sarah picks up 6 for 14. Colin picks up 5 for 12. Chris picks up 5 for 11. And the H-Bomb picks up 8 for 15. So that's how we go. The first person to answer or give their caption on this photograph will be Colin. Go ahead. Jeopardy related.
So, Harper speaking in first person. Saw the Jeopardy rerun last night. Loved the coat and shirt on that O'Grady guy. Think I'll steal it.
Colby.
All right, so I guess I'll play this straight up. Like a looming election sees this Conservative Party leader of Canada challenged by the Liberals and New Democrats.
Oh.
Chris.
I'm Canadian. Why can't I be the new host of Jeopardy? I can take over that role. I'm lost.
Sarah.
Well, I was going to say that, so thanks a lot. No. So I will go with, what is beaver?
And H-Bomb.
Which category and row do I think that Daily Double is hiding in? If I find it, I am totally going to Roger Craig that sucker.
Okay. So I am going to take that photograph down. Not a moment too soon. Guess which side? Guess which bipartisan? Guess which side of the floor I would be on. There we go. That goes down. While you guys think of question 4. While we determine the scores, Question 4, which category do you want to see Jeopardy ask more of and less of, and why? So think about that, calculate some scores. Meanwhile, I should also say our next panel is coming up tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Eastern.
7 Eastern?
Yes, 7 Eastern, 6 Central.
How many quarterfinal matches are there?
There are 8. There are a total of 50 people participating in this. Okay, I think I have some scores here. Colby picks up 8 for a total of 24. Sarah picks up 4 for a total of 18. Colin, 9 for a total of 21. Chris picks up 6 for 17. And the H-bomb Harvey, 7 for 22. First to answer on question 4, which category do you want to see Jeopardy ask more of, less of, and why? Colby, go ahead.
All right, so I will just personally, as a non-drinker, I guess I will go with fewer potent potables because I distinctly remember, Ken Jennings, trivia mastermind, yet clearly not a drinker. Have to answer questions and just sit back and research what's in a Singapore sling just for the purposes of the show. In terms of what I would like to see more, very much just current events. I'd like to see Jeopardy as a touchstone of what's going on in the world around us. I understand that we can only do so many current events with a show that's taped months in advance, but I think it's a good way of going about doing things.
Okay. Chris.
Let's see. Category I would least like to see or less, I'd like to see less of is any category that has to do with a video, because I can't see those television screens on the other side as a contestant. I just have a hard time seeing what they're talking about. Also, it gets really distracting. More categories I'd like to see. I'd like to see the categories that have to do with like the wordplay. I love those categories, even though I'm absolutely horrible at them. It takes me about 3 clues to figure out what they're asking for. Like they'll ask like words with farm animals in them. It took me about 3 or 4 clues to figure out the words that they were asking for, with words like lamb and bullet or bull and other farm animals that just ticked me off.
Sarah.
I think the category I'd least like to see would be old people reading video clues. And the category I would like to see more of, well, if I'm a contestant, I'd like to see more British foods, because I almost ran that category. Also less sports. That would be nice. I mean, it'd be hard for Jeopardy to have fewer sports questions than they do. We struggled with them anyway, but let's see, what else? British royalty. So I guess more British stuff. Maybe I should go on British Jeopardy. I don't know.
H-bomb, more and less.
Well, I would like to see more categories in things that I'm good at, like world capitals and architecture, and also before and after. And I'm not sure if they've ever done this on the show, but I would really like to see a before, during, and after category as well. Things that I would like to see less of would be categories that I'm really weak at, like science and anything having to do with food, and also fewer categories read by Oprah Winfrey. I would also just like to briefly cast a dissenting view as to current events, I like when you look at an archive game from maybe 10 or 20 years ago and the clues still hold up, and clues that are more based on what's going on at the moment tend to become more obscure if you look at them 10 or 15 or 20 years later.
And Colin.
I'd like to see more questions that make contestants do some mental gymnastics. That great category, I think it was in the Tournament Champions, where you had to take, they gave you a person, you had to take the initials, translate those into Roman numerals, and then come up with the number. I think that's the way it worked. But to go from step to step, to, you know, and that way you're looking at the person who gets it's going to be the person who's the quickest thinker, and it becomes more about, you know, the deftness of your thinking rather than just about knowing obscure facts and you know. So, and I don't know. I think thinking is a little bit more of a skill, and that's where reading the clues is you know, the thing I always tell people is the best thing about Jeopardy is the people who can read those clues and find the hints that guide it rather than just knowing trivia. I'd like to see less questions that feel like they're pandering to pop culture. In my game last night, there was the text category, and they got nailed on social media because everyone, you know, there were text acronyms that nobody uses, and so they you know, it looked like Jeopardy was trying to be hip, and it just was a major fail. And then they look even worse than they did when it was just, you know, like I said, you know, I guess as awful as it is, nerds and old people. But I don't want to see them pander. Really is you know, you keep things current, keep things fresh, but don't try to pander.
Okay. So the judges will come up with their scores again. The introduction of question number 5 coming up in just a second. This one might be a little bit longer in terms of the answer and a little bit longer to think about an answer. But if you were given the opportunity to design and teach a university-level course about Jeopardy, what would you title the course, and what would you teach? So the first one to answer this will be Chris. And you've got some time to think about it while I quickly tabulate some scores. Okay, so scores on question number 4. Colby picking up 7 for a total of 31. Sarah picks up 5 for 23. Colin picks up 8 for 29. Chris gets a 7 for 24. And the H-Bomb gets 7 for 29. So Chris will go first. Once again, the question: if you were given the opportunity to design and teach a university-level course about Jeopardy, what would you title the course, and what would you teach?
This comes from a personal frustration of mine, and it's just more creative than anything else. The art of ringing in. I have a horrible time ringing in. As I was in Jeopardy and Sports Jeopardy, I couldn't ring in. And I would probably design the course about, you know, playing games and being able to master trivia, but also mastering the way of ringing in. Colby tried to help me out with Sports Jeopardy. He partially succeeded because I failed on my end, but thanks, Colby. But I could never figure it out. Those darn lights and that timing. I would probably design something on the art of ringing in and just answering questions and researching questions and studying. It's just to have a good time in university. Because you got to have a course like that every once in a while. Personal interest.
Sarah.
The art of wagering. During the first class, they would receive the syllabus that says just wager 4,000, and then we meet on the quad every week and just hang out and eat Cheetos. And I take home a sweet, sweet professor salary.
H-Bomb.
My course would be titled Jeopardy and game theory. And I know that some here might have hesitation about that, the way that Arthur Chu ruined Jeopardy with his game theory. But the subtitle on the syllabus would go something like how different aspects and elements and strategy of the show illustrate principles of game theory, including the prisoner's dilemma situation in Final Jeopardy wagering, for example, and trying to anticipate what your opponents are going to do and that sort of thing.
Colin.
I'm an English teacher. I'm a word dork. I'd love to teach a class on the rhetoric of Jeopardy clues because those clues are written so brilliantly. I would love to write clues for Jeopardy. They're so pointed and they're so loaded, and they're often full of whimsy and humor. And so there's definitely a light touch to the writing in the clues. So teaching in a college level English course using just Jeopardy clues to teach rhetoric and humor, I think would be fascinating.
And Colby.
I guess my course would be constructing a canon. So really Jeopardy is a reflection of not only the contestants but also the writers and viewers of what you would expect three ostensibly intelligent and well-versed Americans and Canadians to know. And how do we come to that conclusion that this is what you're supposed to know? As a teacher, well, what you're supposed to know in terms of, well, this is classic. This is what we as a group should expect you to have some knowledge about. And how do we come to that conclusion that three people, and by extension the entire audience, should also acknowledge?
When you said you were teaching a class on constructing a cannon, I thought it was going to be something else.
Weaponry is not my thing.
That might be something better for King of the Nerds, constructing a cannon.
Actually, we can have a chat about this after. We can have a chat about that after this is over, Andy, because that did happen in a slight way.
Okay, the judges are going to come up with some scores from question number 5. If you've been paying attention to our previous panels, you know what is coming up for question number 6. Time to compose a tweet. You get to summarize tonight's panel in 140 characters or less, or fewer, I should say. 140 characters or fewer. Interesting. Very interesting. Just seeing, once again, many situations where I went one way and the the other half went another. Hey, to do well, you've got to impress both of us. So
you guys really, after this is all over, need to publish the breakdowns because this is something I think people are going to want to see.
Yeah. It's something we're going to think about.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, but not until the entire quarterfinal round is over, I don't think. Because okay. So on question 5, Colby picking up 6 points for 37. Sarah picks up 5 for 28. Colin picks up 8 for 37. Chris 7 for 31, and the H-bomb 6 for 35. And we move on to compose a tweet. 140 characters or fewer, summarizing tonight's panel. Sarah, you get to go first.
Constructing a cannon to blow the competition out of the water.
1 N or 2?
Oh, on Twitter I would have to. How many characters is that? 2 N's.
Okay, 2 N cannon. Okay. H-bomb, what do you got?
Help the H-bomb go viral and prove that my game theory works.
Okay. Colin.
Wait, colon, is that Colin guy a teacher? Question mark. Because he didn't mention it all caps ever. Hashtag I get it, dude. Hashtag you're a teacher. Hashtag just stop.
Wow.
Colby.
All right. So become more educated about Jeopardy. Hear champions pontificate. Hashtag there are multiple teachers here.
And Chris.
Came in expecting to have a great time, but I don't want to finish last again. Third time's the charm? Question mark.
Okay. So those are our tweets. Once again, the next panel is scheduled for tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. I have some scores here. I will just quickly add them up. Huh. Wow, we actually came close to agreeing on these.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so let's see here. Our tweet scores. I'm going to read these out in reverse order of scores going in. Sarah had 28. Her tweet picks up 8 points. That puts her at 36. Chris had 31. His tweet picks up 6. That puts him at 37 and not last on the debate portion. Harvey, the H-Bomb, had 35. His tweet picks up 4. That puts him at 39. Colby had 37. His tweet picks up 7 for 44. Colin also had 37. His tweet picks up 9.
Nice.
That's 9 points for his tweet. That puts him at 46. He is the leader after the debate portion. Once again, 20 more points are on the table for the fan vote. 10 from Twitter, 10 from the Google poll. So anything can happen. The idea is the tweets. I will go through. If you have a Twitter account and want to tweet out your tweet, I will pick it up. Otherwise, I will go and transcribe it from the broadcast and use that for the voting. There will be specific tweets that can be retweeted and favorited for the vote, and then voting will open at 11:30 Eastern tonight, and it will run for 48 hours. I am going to make Statboy on Around the Horn mad at me by saying that going to see you in about 20 hours and 52 minutes for Jeannie Kenkel and everyone at Jeopardy Live Panel and thejeopardyfan.com. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.